Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writings of your favorite novels. This spring, we're hosting a book club while we prepare our 10-part literary analysis of Sarah J. Maas's Crown of Midnight.
This is Jac.
And I'm Amy.
And each week we'll discuss one book from our spring book club roster. By using our literary background, we'll provide our flash analysis of each book, as well as discuss listener thoughts.
This week, we're discussing We Hunt the Flame by Hafsah Faizal.
The views expressed by the hosts are entirely their own and in no way represent the thoughts or intentions of the original author. This podcast is a discussion shared to spark thought and conversation on the characters and themes of this novel. The interpretations presented in this podcast are just a few of the many possibilities. Listeners are encouraged to read along and share their own analysis of the text.
Though the hosts speak mostly within the constraints of this book, series spoilers may be discussed with or without warning. Explicit language as well as themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death will recur this podcast. Listener discretion is advised. If you're enjoying the podcast, check out our Patreon for more exclusive content. You can find us at patreon.com/booktalkforbooktalk.
All right, here we are. We're recording. It's full disclosure, I do have the playoffs in the background on my phone. So if anything good or bad happens, it will be expressed here. I am not watching, but you'll get fun updates.
I think you need to clarify that it's hockey playoffs.
Yes, it is April 25th. So who knows where things are. We here in this podcast support the LA Kings with a special love for the Seattle Krakens and the Minnesota Wild.
Kraken, the Seattle Kraken.
What did I say?
Krakens. No, I only know this because after I asked Emma, really, the Wild? She's like, yeah, it's not plural. It's like they're out in the wild. And then I was like, but so many sports teams end with S. And she's like, well, there's the Seattle Kraken.
Did you confirm
Minnesota
it?
Wild. Yeah. And there's a couple more, and they're all like hockey.
Hockey only believes in singular?
Not all of them, but there's a few.
Kings, multiple. That's why we like the LA Kings, because
they end with plural.
Because they believe in plurals.
And if you're watching this video and you see my blank wall, I started redecorating and did not finish redecorating.
And I peeled a part of the wallpaper there, and the other part is falling apart over there.
It's time for a refresh.
This is we're so busy.
Yeah, we are.
My room needs a refresh though, desperately. But that's not what we're here for. We're not here for hockey talk or redecorating talk. We are here to describe this book in 10 words or less. Hands up, tits up. I'll go.
Okay.
I always throw you to the wolves.
You do.
I can be a wolf too. I don't know what to do. Ooh, okay. A riveting and is captivating, and like it just feels so redundant. Okay,
it is redundant.
I know. A riveting and soul sucking in a good way book. Yay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
The start broke my heart. I loved the characters.
Yeah. Both of us end with yay.
Yay. I mean, I have more feedback than that, but
yeah, but you're the one who started this tradition, so
yeah, so I'm limited.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about themes though, because that's been a really fun way of starting the conversation of books this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like we should have been doing this the whole time.
You know what? We learn as we go.
Yep.
We adapt.
Yep. All right, what are some themes that you caught? Because I appreciate a book that lays out a theme for me, where the villain is like, hey, I'm going to list to you the theme of this book.
So what would you say the theme of this book is?
Throwing your love and dedication to places that may or may not deserve it.
Yeah, that's a great way. Yeah, put like duty versus desire, right?
Yeah. Well, and then how much is duty desire? Because sometimes we desire the duty, but sometimes we're dutied to desire.
No, it doesn't work.
All right, what's your theme?
I think one of the themes definitely is like the darkness within. And there is another one that is also related, is there's so much mirroring between these two characters, between Nasir and what's her name?
Zafir?
What's Zafira?
Zafira. Yeah. Okay. Zafira.
So there's also a lot of mirroring between Nasir and Saphira. And so I feel like that's a huge theme, the parallels that they have. But mostly going off of that, it's that they both struggle with the darkness within.
Yeah.
There's the darkness itself. And also, I think going off of the duty thing, at least in Saphira's case, I don't know how to say it. I'm just going to say relationships. Relationships is a theme.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, so the part that I'm referencing is when the lion man, the evil lion.
Lion of the Night?
The evil lion. Yeah, the lion of the night. At one point, he has her, Zafira, locked up, and he's telling her the way that you sacrifice yourself. Do you want love so badly? Do you want love from your family? That's why you put yourself, do everything you can for them. You want love from your peers, from your village. That's why you go hunting all the time. You want love so desperately that this is like what drives you, which, to your point with mirroring, you can see that completely with Nasir. So like with Nasir, you totally can see that parallel which is funny because like when we first meet Zafira, she's just like, boy, no, to Dean. Like, I don't want to, like, I'm not into love. Thank you for your pinky wrapping around my pinky. I don't know if I believe in love. And then you have Nasir, who is like deadly assassin guy, but also like just really wants someone to love him. And he was just like, she doesn't have a tongue and I'm really sad. And I just, they just want someone to hold me. It's funny because I get way more like I want love vibes from him.
Oh yeah, 100%. But is that not what a people pleaser is? Which Zafira is to some extent, right? Which is why she hides her identity at the start of the book. She's hidden her identity to be accepted.
Yeah.
Her character really spoke to me as someone who has sacrificed pieces of their life for other people. I was just like, don't call me out. Please stop. Yes, like, I want love. Stop it.
Like, this feels a little attacky right now for my taste. I think that, like, when you look at Nasir, he is also a people pleaser, right? It's just that his pleasing is his dad, and this way that he does it is by murder. So it is like there's a lot of parallels there, and then you have their counterpoints, right? With Nasir, it's his brother, Altair, and I think that, like, who's literally his counterpoint, where he is light while Nasir is dark, right? And
spoiler.
Well, again, we're reading this book. You've read this book. Then you have Zafira, and I would say her counterpoint probably is Dean, where she's alive and he's not.
I was going to say Yasmin, her best friend.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe it's like Ben, or what's his name? Brandon. Benjamin. I don't know. She must have a counterpoint because we don't really get enough time with Yasmin.
It's true. I mean, in some ways, is it Kifa? I don't know.
Kifa? The other woman?
Yeah, the other woman in the
warrior
group.
Yeah.
Right. Or is Nasir a counterpoint in the way that they mirror each other a lot, but they have differences? I don't know.
Like Nasir is Nafira's counterpoint, but Nasir also needs his own balance with the light and darkness and everything. I mean, he probably needs that to show that, hey, he's light and, I can be too. We're the same. We're made of the same thing. Although the plot twist at the end that Lion Daddy was his daddy.
Well, it's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, when what? Look, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of this book I was extremely confused with. I understood solid 70%.
So that was one of the first things I said to you. You really have to pay attention when we listened to this as an audiobook.
Yeah, and I tried hard. It just all of a sudden your brain hops for like a second of, I think I want water, to what are we doing?
It does move quickly.
Yeah. All right, talk me through it.
So we learn that the Lion of the Night tricked the sister who ruled Shar, made her fall in love with him, then took over Shar. Okay, first point. Then we learn that the Silver Witch is the sister who ruled Shar.
Yeah.
We learn Altair is Nasir's brother. And then we learn Nasir's mother is the Silver Witch.
Yes.
So the Silver Witch is Altair's mother.
Yeah.
Is the sixth sister who was in love with the Lion of the Night.
Yeah. Well, she was in love with the Sultan who was taken over by the Lion of the Night.
No. This is all before the Sultan.
Fuck. Okay.
This is
Ooh.
all before the Sultan.
Whoa.
Because Altair is immortal. He's
Yes.
a Safi. So she leaves Shar pregnant with
with
Altair, gives birth, and then years later ends up with the Sultan.
Who is then possessed by her ex.
Yes.
Messy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited that I was like keeping on board with the whole sister witch thing. And I was like, all right, you're a witch, you're a sister, and you're the Sultan's wife. Like, I can understand that. Damn it. Now the other one. So I can see what you mean that once you put two and two together of like, shit, like the witch was in love with the lion of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can kind of put together without them spelling it out until the very end, because they don't spell it out until the very end for me.
So for me, because I could follow the train, I was like, I learned this 10 chapters ago. Like, this isn't this is not a cliffhanger.
For me, I was like, what? Oh my God, this is great. Yeah, that's my one no, is things did happen. And I don't know if it just because it's beautifully written. I think that's, for me, harder to pay attention to. Now, I don't want to say the things that we've read that I liked are not beautifully written, but like this is extremely beautifully written.
Yes. So that is like the first thing I want to talk about. The prose of this book is beautiful and it's entrancing. Like, it does such a great job of describing the world, describing the characters, describing their feelings. Before Nasir and Zafira find each other at Shar, and we're seeing their two different paths, and they're both progressing towards Shar.
Yeah.
I was so depressed for them. Like,
I know.
Hafsah was breaking my heart because I loved their wallowing. I was drowning in the best way possible in their wallowing.
Yes.
And I was like, this is all I need from this book. I don't need the rest of the story. I just need to like...
Everyone's really sad. I am feeling this so hard.
I really, really was. I just thought she did such a good job making you care about the characters really quickly.
Yep.
And really understanding them very quickly.
I agree.
And she did it with beautiful prose, which... is such... I have specific taste. This type of prose is not for everyone. Yeah. It is like crack for me.
It really... I mean, hello, Thea Guanzin. That's the difference between this and Thea is I feel like Hafsah, her prose don't necessarily lie in the description of the location. Her prose lie in the way that people say things. So it's not just a like, you know, Nasir said. It's like Nasir, I can't even think of one, but it's never they said something. No, it's so much more poetic of how they even speak to one another. And that's where I feel like the reason why I could hang on a little bit more with this one, with like sometimes like with the Hurricane Wars, I was like, the prose are beautiful, but I am like so not smart enough for this, was like the descriptors were the focus, versus this one I'm like, okay, it was really more honed onto the characters, which I can like hang on a little bit more to. But again, boy, I would read this again, but physically.
This is a book that I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy this book and I'm going to read this book with, read the physical book, because I think it will be an even more elevated experience. Yeah, I have no words. I just love it so much. And I wish I had it in front of me so that I could describe it or describe the prose better.
Grab one. I got a copy.
That's right.
We got a signed copy to give away.
No, we didn't get a signed copy.
We don't have a signed copy to give away. We didn't get it signed from her?
No, we couldn't get in to see her.
I saw her everywhere.
I did not.
Okay. I keep opening it to be like, no, Amy, it is signed. It's not.
It is not.
I don't even have to look. I literally just opened. It was a delicate dance, a tenuous balance as the bickering faded and every glance and touch turned heavy. But like just that, a delicate dance and a tenuous balance as the bickering faded. Like,
it's just beautiful.
It's so beautiful and so smart.
This is one of the books that I would study.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is actually a different book.
Oh, is that The Tempest of Tea?
Spells, string, and foreign things. This is a great one. Hold on.
No, you got the wrong book.
Sorry, it has it. Let me grab another one. But that was a great pro that I just read there. I was like, I don't recognize that character's name. Stand by. I don't even know whose book that was. It was another book that wasn't signed.
That was the author who was on Hannah and Kate's panel who had Princess Mononoke vibes.
Oh, right. Well, she did a great job with hers. Okay. Okay, hold on. Now, I mean, since I read them, I have to like do one here. Let's see. I mean, now I have to, so give me like one quick second. I'll just go to the first chapter because the first chapters are always kind of like where they put the most pizzazz. Okay, this is like the first sentence because it's always fun to have the first sentence. People lived because she killed. And if that meant braving the R's where even the sun was afraid to glimpse, then so be it. Like, it's just good job.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So let me pull up. I can't believe I pulled up another author. So I get to give you, did we get 2 copies of this?
I don't remember.
I'll give it to you. Let me pull up someone's feedback. This is Jessie's feedback because she sent this to us a while ago. And then I was like, I haven't read this yet. And then so now she was like, okay, I'm going to send this to you again. Feedback for We Hunt the Flame. I loved the second book. She read the second book and thought the world and setting was unique. I liked the prose, particularly the use of Arabic words, which really helped maintain the feel of being immersed into the world and culture of the story. I love Altair's banter and character, and my heart absolutely broke for Nasir. His backstory and character portrayal isn't like a lot of morally gray or dark brooding characters we see, and I just want to love him and keep his poor heart safe. But I also thought some of the complexities with the relationship between the characters was a little too much and confused, like the role of Kulsum. Was she a spy? Was she Altair's lover too? Was it betrayal? If so, who was the portrayer? I felt it confused the growing relationship between the brothers. Also, the audiobook is read by Fiona Hardingham and Steve West, who are absolutely phenomenal, and who also narrated The Empire of Ashes by Saba Tahir, which is one I'm begging you to read.
So, I mean, she captured a lot of what I feel also about this book. What I will say, in addition to beautiful prose, I feel like Hafsah has created very distinct characters.
Yeah.
And I never got confused about, wait, who's who? And, you know, the characters were always consistent.
Even if I didn't know who was talking, I could guess who it was just by the way that they were saying.
Yep.
Like immediately when Benjamin went, like, he was like, I like to talk. I like pretty words. I'm very floral, flourish my words. I was like, oh, you're cool. Yeah. I'll hang with you. Although I will say the second that they introduce someone and they have a tragic backstory where all the loved ones are dead, I'm like, well, you're going to die soon. If you don't have a
no
love
one to
interest,
keep you around.
yeah. If you don't have a love interest in the next 20 pages, you're gone.
Yeah.
I'm totally hopping around with some of the thoughts, but like kind of to your earlier point of the characters, like this is a very character driven book, even though there's a lot of plot happening. There is so much to these characters that make you feel for them. And you start off this book with the misery, right? By finding out that Nasir's love is, her tongue was cut out. The fact that he just wants to save these kids and the Sultan is like, nah, bitch, I'm going to kill them all in front of you.
Yeah.
And he's like, brave front. And then you have Nafira, who is
Zafira.
Thank you. Then you have Zafira, who is just trying to get her friend married, and like, although I'm a little confused on like turning herself in to go save magic, but I got there eventually. And at one point, because Dean goes with her, right? And at one point I was like, well, I can guess that Zafira and Nasir are going to get together, right? You don't have 2 point of views without them, become one
together.
Yeah. But then Nasir's still talking about the woman that he loves, and then Dean is still around. And I thought, that's really weird because we're pretty far into this book. I don't know how she's going to handle that. The next minute, Dean dies. And I was like, okay. And then immediately that woman you loved was actually a spy.
Yeah. Oh, I had the same feeling. I was like, oh, Dean's going to die. Dean's going to die. And then, or he's going to get left behind, or whatever the case is. He's only going to be a blip. No, he's coming with her.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, he kind of put his lips on her neck, and she's like flustered by that.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe something's going to develop. Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
Same.
Boom.
She had me fooled. She had me think, wait, maybe Dean is endgame.
Yeah.
Maybe that's... Wow, maybe I'm a fool for thinking, damn it, now you made me love him. You made me like him. Like, the second that you had I had my emotional, like, walls coming down, like, wow, maybe I'm being too hard on her. On
Dean.
No, the author, on
Hafsah.
Yeah, maybe I'm being too hard on Hafsah. Maybe she does want me to like Dean. Maybe I was not hard on her. Maybe I'm just thinking that she'll follow this recipe, and I'm a fool for, damn it, you fooled me. You know what she did when you cut into something that's super realistic and it turns out it's cake? And you're like, I know I'm going to eat cake, but what I'm seeing is a baseball bat, a tire, right? Like I'm seeing a tire instead, but I know logically there's cake underneath.
Yeah.
But why is the tire still there? Yeah, that's Dean.
Poor Dean.
Poor Dean. But respect for her going there.
Yeah, no, I love it. I will say, I think that there's so much, she spent so much time in the start making us learn to love Dean.
Yeah.
Making us hurt for Zafira and Nasir, for us knowing that they're going to end up together but not knowing how. And I feel like it's halfway through the book when Dean dies. That's probably an exaggeration. It's probably not halfway yet, but
over 25%. That's
it's
what it
over
feels like.
25%. Maybe I was going through the book too fast. I will say that the attraction between Zafira and Nasir seemed to escalate really quickly for someone who, when Zafira is also 50% sure Nasir may have killed Dean.
Yeah.
Right? It's a 50-50 thing. And she's like, I'm super into him and I really can't keep my eyes off him, but he may have killed Dean. So I can't like him.
What's interesting with that one is like you have Nasir and Altair, and I should have known they were brothers. It rhymes. But what I like about it is that Altair, it's easier to forget that he might be a murderer. Because he's so charming. And so I can understand why Zafira would be kind of forget to like lose herself, right? Because she wants to be angry, she wants to be frustrated, but Altair is so funny and just so charming that it's, you know, she misses his jokes at one point, she says. But I do agree that there is a certain amount of, she goes from you killed Dean to, okay, we're friends now. And she does have some conflict with Altair, but the attraction with Nasir was so fast that you don't have that same amount there. But it also could have happened. This was also very hard for me to read, of like to focus. So maybe it was there and I just didn't focus hard enough.
Yeah, because I felt like there's only a point in the middle where I felt like it just jumped too quickly or it progressed too quickly. And so maybe if I go back and read it, I won't feel the same. But
it is less than 10 days.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it, right? We spent the first 25% is really just a couple days, not even. It's 2 days maybe. And so I think the passage of time, because it's warped, it doesn't feel, the progression feels off.
I agree. You know, the fact that you said like the first bit of the book is 2 days, I'm like, it is. Like she goes hunting, she comes home, her friend gets married the same day, and then like the next day she kind of takes off, you know, and not much is like, I mean, a lot happens. I think it's both like a talent with Hafsah is that she makes time feel like the time that she commits to like the words on the page is a lot, and it's so focused and it means a lot, right? Like you are just hyper there focused on that moment, and she brings a lot of value in that moment in time. You then forget that it's only been a day that's passed by. It's like, it reminds me of almost such a not great comparison, but like, you know, circa 2010 CW TV shows where it's like, wait, has this been one day and it's still going on? And it's like, half the season has passed. Why are we still here? But it does make it hard to believe that you start throwing around the love word, right? Where I like that they didn't get together. I like that this isn't, you know, they weren't confessing feelings, but he was given 10 days to like wrap everything up, which means he didn't even see her on day one. There might have been like 1 or 2 days. So they only had 8 days together, a week. So I don't know why that went off.
Kegels?
I don't know. I'm doing it. I'm doing it
too.
Anyway, maybe I'll just leave that in on the edits, but what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, 10 days. It was less than 7 days. And I think that it would have been not a more believable, because I believed all of this, but it just would have been just slightly less on the love scale, and maybe her willing to forgive him rather than her throwing the love word around.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't need them to, I want them to be together. Don't get me wrong. But knowing this is a duology, I didn't need them to be together. I liked enough of the like, will they, won't they? That's all it had to be for me, was the will they, won't they. And the obvious clues that they're learning to like and appreciate each other, but not to the point of, I can't live without this person.
Yeah. Every time he was nice to her, I got butterflies. That's the kind of toxic shit I love, where, he's, all of a sudden she kind of calls him like his second face, right? When the mask comes down, or the fact that he is considerate of her, that he does get worried about her. But, I love that. I eat it up. All right, let me pull up some comments though. I do want to go back to one of Jesse's other comments that I did see a couple other people say, though, is the use of Arabic throughout.
Yes, I loved that. I think for me, because it's a language I'm unfamiliar with, I really, really enjoyed it. When I read books that incorporate words from a language I do know, or I am familiar with, it makes me a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But as someone who grew up in a foreign country, there are certain words when I'm around my family, I will say in Mandarin and not in English. And so I loved the incorporation of the Arabic, because I'm sure if Hafsah is in a English speaking place, she's going to incorporate her heritage into the way that she speaks, because we all do when we're around people who know the same language.
Yeah, I love it. I think Arabic is a beautiful language. So and I'm not familiar with it like I am with Spanish, right? So it's not like I can go and drop knowledge or anything like that. But there are enough words that I know from ex-boyfriend that I was about to say plural. No, but ex-boyfriends, yeah. Anyway, there's been enough that I've like picked up and learned. So sometimes like inshallah kind of just that like I was supposed to say oh bother, but like oh god. Or this one is like, or habibi. That's kind of like a more of an endearment. And when the first time I heard that, I was like, wait, what? And then I'm like, but he said it to him. And sure enough, that was the joke where it's like, don't call me your beloved or something. Like, oh, habibi. The Arabic language was really beautiful. There was a lot of cultural representation without there being this world culture in there. And it's the same way that you could say that we did with Fate, Inked in Blood, right?
Yeah.
A lot of cultural Norse representation. It's not like we had this world living there. And same thing, here we have a lot of Arabic Muslim representation, and it was just beautifully done. Like it was a very beautiful book, and I love the way that they incorporated it. And I love there's some of the themes that I want to recognize, and I want to say that I'm not equipped to to have an answer. I don't mean themes should never have an answer, but her journey, Zafira's journey of being covered, of taking off her cover, of hiding her body, of hiding, who she is, and then slowly revealing that, to there being some pressure around that, and then some celebration that she doesn't have to. That is poignant, especially when you do consider the author, Hafsah. And when we saw her, and I think she has this in her profile photo, it looks like she is wearing a niqab, which does have full head and face covering other than the eyes. And I think that when you have that added layer and you have her telling this story, I found it to be kind of extra beautiful, because it was also empowering in the sense that like this was Zafira's choice, just like it is Hafsah's choice. You know what I mean? It was hard for me not to think about the two and find beauty with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think that we can't assume the author is imposing her own feelings about her religion on Zafira, because Zafira's empowerment as a woman is Zafira's journey. And Zafira starts out with the cloak that she wears to disguise her gender as being very comforting. And she goes back to it all the time. So I think it's important that we look at the book just in terms of the book, in terms of the characters within the book.
Yeah, we don't want to assume.
Yeah, we don't want to assume anything. But that being said, Zafira's journey and her acknowledging that what Yasmin has said about show them what a woman can do, that's a very powerful journey. And how Zafira learns to be comfortable as a woman is also a powerful journey. And I thought that was really beautiful in and of itself.
I feel like, is there an episode that goes by where I don't mention I lived in London? No. So I make myself annoyed at myself. So when I lived in London and I did my master's out there, I lived in the East End right by the East London Mosque. And I went to Queen Mary University of London, and it had a very large Muslim community, very large Muslim student population, a lot of Muslim students, where we had even even in the library there was a lot of like prayer rooms and everything there. I got to speak to a lot of amazing women who were in different layers of covering, according to what they believe for their religion. And it was really great to talk to these women, because as someone who grew up in California and then lived in Arizona, it's not like, I unfortunately do not have the most diverse upbringing. So it was a really cool experience to get to talk to the women who I'm like, teach me more. I want to know everything. And I think that one thing that I took away for a lot of women now, like, we are not going to get into this larger conversation of religion, and that's not what this is going to be. What this will be is that I spoke to a lot of women who found power in their choice. And what we see is a character who found power in her choice. And I find that to be one of the most beautiful things that you can have in a character, in an author, and in representation of women in literature, is power in choice.
Power in choice. Absolutely. And not submitting themselves to the whims of others.
Yeah. Zafira, she almost passed out. Like, she did pass out. She got sick because of being covered in the desert and everything. The culture that was represented in here was chef's kiss. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Someone said the cover art of the book. Agreed. If you people have not seen the cover art to this book, it is stunning. The yearning and horny makeout scenes.
Yeah, the yearning. It was like top tier yearning.
Yeah. This yearning is what Twilight wished it could be. And I love Twilight.
Yeah.
I love Twilight. But there's like a level of yearning. I mean, Twilight, it was like you had a vampire. It was like, no, Bella, we can't have sex. It'll ruin you. And this is just like a level of yearning where it's like, you might have killed my best friend and I don't know. But like, and he's like,
I can't
I'm a
help
murderer.
but love you. I don't deserve happiness.
No.
You deserve better.
This is skin of a killer, Bella. Like, actually, maybe there might be more parallels than I expected.
There might be, actually.
Wait, I actually thought at one point in the book, I thought this thought, and I remember thinking, wow, Jac, you nailed this. And I can't remember why I'm making this connection, so you're going to have to help past me.
Okay.
I remember thinking at what point that, this is just a sped up, condensed version of Throne of Glass. I don't know why I thought that.
I don't agree. I see the parallels, though. Okay,
Yeah.
I do see the parallels. Because we have a prince.
Yeah.
We have a woman. I'll tell you yours.
There are parallels. There's a man. There's a woman.
There's a dark, evil guy in the darkness.
Oh, I got it. Okay. It's the dad being possessed by an old demon monster. Thank you for being my best friend and really trying. There are trees in both. There's water and a lake. There's a desert. You were doing your best friend job, right? And you were supporting me. And I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, now I'm back on track. But like a prince who discovers that his dad is actually possessed by this old monster thing, and he ends up having shadow powers inside him.
Yeah.
His love is killed by his dad, or tongue cut out by his dad, who actually falls in love with this, even though she's not an assassin, but she's like a hunter killer person. Like, I did see some parallels there.
Yeah, there were parallels.
As well as desert, as well as sky and trees.
As well as things with pointy ears.
There were pointy ears. Although, I even the way she describes it is, I'm like, God, you're smart.
Yeah.
Elongated ears. It was never pointy. It took for initially. I was like, do they go down?
Like really long earlobes.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh shit, you're describing like pointy up top ears. Okay. When she was like elongated ears, I was like, okay, so they come down to your chin. Was that not what you thought too?
No.
Okay, it's end of the first. Kings 1, Oilers 2. But, we got 2 more periods. Let's go, Kings. Go, Kings, go. Let's talk about one of the other pros is the magic system and world building.
Yeah, I mean, I love the world building, and I love that these individuals, and this is maybe also like Throne of Glass in that like history has been rewritten, and we're seeing also women being written out of history.
Yeah.
And then the characters have to discover the true past. This is also like Crescent City. The characters have to discover the true past in order to be able to understand the actual world they're in, which I thought was really well done. Because I think what Hafsah does really, really well, and this is with everything, the history of Nasir and Kosum, the history of Zafira and her mother killing her father. Like, that's not information you get right away.
No.
She's really good at trickling information. I think that benefits her world building as well, because you see how just like her characters are learning bit by bit.
And each time you get a little bit of the revelation of backstory, it's a little bit more information of the magical world too, right?
Yeah.
The fact that her dad went crazy in the forest and then attacked their mom. So like we realize like, oh, well, this has been impacting their world for so long that that's what essentially killed her dad, even though I mean technically her mom did, but you know, like self-defense. But you know, all those little bits of information you're getting is there to build out the magic system. And we don't come back to it too much, which I appreciate, because it also doesn't feel like it wasn't done in a way of, hey, here's a tidbit of information and we're going to ignore it forever.
Yeah.
It has repercussions. I
think what I also liked about it, it's not like the character thinking about the same thing and withholding the same information over and over and over again, and then there's a reveal. Every time you get a piece of information, it layers on top of what came before, and you're always getting a little bit more.
Yes, absolutely. Which is all layered in a very beautiful way, and ends up with me going, did I miss something? Did I do something wrong? That's the beauty. When a book makes me think that I've done it, or I've done something wrong, it kind of gaslit me.
But it didn't really gaslight you.
No,
you gaslit
I did
yourself.
Do something wrong. Yeah, I in fact did do something wrong. Okay, so we have a couple things that people said that they did not resonate for them. One is that it felt too formulaic. Maybe could have used some more editing.
Okay. I wonder what they mean by formulaic.
I mean, is it the fact that we get another shadow daddy?
I feel like you can't avoid the story of light and dark, because we're always telling stories of good and evil. I think it's inevitable that shadows are going to be somewhere because of that.
Look at Peter Pan, the original shadow daddy.
No, he's not a daddy. That's gross.
No, he is a child, and he's a representation of many shitty men. I wasn't just thinking of him. I was actually thinking about other ones. But now the way you nodded, I was like, why are you nodding like you know what I'm talking about? Oh, right. Anyway, yeah, I think there's things that you're just going to have. So the fact that we had Dean at the beginning, and like you and I were both thinking, oh, is Dean going to be a part of this? Like the formula is Nasir and Zafira are going to get together, right? Like that's the formula. We know that that's going to happen, but this man is in the way. We're going to have to kill him. Now, one of the things that probably might have been redundant, and again, was it redundant or did I just not understand what was happening, is I felt like she kept running away or disappearing, Zafira, from the group. The last time it happened, they just let her walk through the trees. She started kind of getting entranced, and then Benjamin and then the other woman was like, Kifa. Wait a minute, she's speaking to someone, let her have a minute. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we lost her. It's like, well, you let her go. You let her...
There's something like the trees move to block the way, because Kifa does go after her.
Yes, but that was the one thing where I'm like, all right, well, can someone put a leash on this girl? Because you need one of those kids leash. I saw that someone posted, those kids leash. I saw someone do that to their friend at Coachella.
Oh my gosh. That would be me and you.
It would be. Because the second a song started, one friend just took off running and the other one was like being dragged along. The funny thing is people think that I'm the one who's doing the dragging. It'd be very versatile. I drag you, you drag me.
Yeah, we'd go back and forth.
Yes, but that's kind of what made me think of that, was like, oh, she needs one of those like buddy friend systems of, can someone just keep an eye on this woman? Stop letting her walk around at night.
It's true. I forgot what I was going to say. I'm trying to think what else comes across as formulaic. Is the dad being possessed? Is the Sultan being possessed formulaic? Or is it, I don't know.
I wonder if, and don't agree with what I'm about to say, but let's play this what if game. I wonder if too many reveals happened in this book.
Interesting. Say more.
Let's do this brain exercise. It was definitely reveal after reveal. We find out that his mom is alive, or, well, maybe this isn't like, I like it, so I take it back. But you find out that Altair is his brother. But you have the revelation that that's his brother. And then you have the revelation that his mom's alive. And then you have the revelation that his dad is possessed. And then you have the revelation that, so I'm trying to think. I felt like those were the right amount, but I could potentially see someone thinking that's almost too formulaic.
The only thing I didn't see coming but felt, oh, that makes sense, was the Silver Witch being Nasir's mother.
Yep.
Everything else I saw coming. And maybe that's just me, but I saw the brother thing coming. I knew immediately that the dad was possessed. There were so many clues to start with.
Yeah.
Like, he's had this sudden change of personality. He didn't used to be this way. I hear whispers when I touch his medallion.
That's called Possession 101.
Have you not watched Buffy?
Please. Someone get that there stat. I think that's also hard, where do we as readers dismiss moments where we come to a revelation and we say, that makes sense? Because I think that, I can't remember what book we did this with, the book club, remind me, but there was a couple where I was like, maybe it was Fate Inked in Blood, but a number of books where I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like, am I surprised? Not entirely, because it makes sense on where it comes, but I'm also not angry that this is how I got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I even see that with some of our author friends, like, with some of our author friends, when we've read their books that they haven't put out yet, I remember her asking me, hey, does this feel like it's a surprise? I'm trying to get you just to be surprised. And I'm like, not really, because I'm anticipating things in general as a reader, but I'm not mad at that this is what happened. Like, it's just kind of the natural progression. So I do wonder if now I don't want to say this listener is wrong in what, like, she defines as formulaic. And I think that's a totally valid thing if you want to say, like, the formula follows too true. Totally valid. But I do wonder if we as readers are too harsh on things that are just lined up well and that we can see.
Yeah. I mean, I think to this reader's or listener's credit, if you see the formula, you're a step ahead of a bunch of people who haven't learned the formula yet.
Yeah.
I think that it's hard to write a romantasy without following a formula.
It's hard to write a book without following writing a formula. When you're writing the book, 25% in, I know there's going to be a twist. 50% in, I know there's going to be a twist. 80, 60, 70%, we're going to enter the climax. You know what I mean? So, like, even just doing math, you know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of how books work. Sometimes it's nice when we get an original formula and we get really excited and we're like, I hadn't seen that coming. I am totally surprised. I will say Spark of the Everflame kind of did it for me, because we found out that Glow of the Everflame was the first true book. And so Spark kind of was throwing me for a loop, because I was like, it wasn't following any of the things that I thought it was going to happen, because it's just a wonderful prequel.
Yeah.
Find out this week when we interview Penn Cole.
Yeah.
I know, it was such a good interview, but see what I mean, where it's like, there's very few times that I'm surprised with a book. I'm not always mad that if I'm not surprised. I'm not mad
I'm
at
never
it.
mad if I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Because
sometimes I'm mad when you're not mad. Sometimes I'm mad when you're not surprised, because then I'm like, how the fuck did you see this?
Well, and I think that's why I never get mad if I see something coming, because the author did their job right. They left the clues.
Yep.
They led me where I needed to be led. And yeah, sometimes they want the shock factor, but I think if I really find something shocking, I think I'd be more upset that I found it shocking, because then I'd be like, well, where were the clues?
And we've had that conversation too with other books. We've had that talk of like, I have no idea where this came from.
Yeah.
I mean, case in point, Crescent City. I still don't know how the hell Hunt was betraying Bryce. There weren't any clues. How are we supposed to know? So yeah, there's a lot. And I applaud this listener and I applaud this author. All around good times. Yeah, overall, I can't wait to read this book physically, so that I get to like replay over and over, because the one thing when you hit back on I'm like, what did that part say? It has to go back 30 seconds, and I'm like, well, I have to listen to everything, and then by the time it reaches the thing I want it to listen to, I've already gotten distracted, and I have to go back to. It's a vicious cycle.
That is a vicious cycle. I am excited to read this again. I am excited to read the sequel.
Yeah.
We Free the Stars. I really want to know. I want to know what happens.
How do you feel about this being categorized as YA?
I don't know. I guess I could see it. I mean, Zafira is
17,
18,
I think.
17. She is 17.
This is technically considered YA, but kind of what we were talking about when we were looking at Lore of the Wilds, the pacing was so fast, which is very common for YA. That YA has that super fast pace.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that super fast pace here.
It doesn't start out fast paced. I do feel like the second half of the book is very fast paced.
Yeah, I can't wait to read this again. Make this make sense sometime. Some of the things where I'm like, but why are we here? Where did we get? All I did was brush my teeth and now I'm here.
I reserve judgment of how I feel about this being YA until after I've read the physical book.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that it's YA in the sense that Ruthless Vows is YA.
Yeah, it deals with heavier themes.
Yeah.
With younger characters.
Yep.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ta-da.
Top of the morning. Okay, so as we wrap up, any other thoughts, Amy?
I like Nasir as a shadow daddy. He's not even a daddy. He's a boy. He's a broken little boy.
Shadow baby boy.
He is. But I like him the way that I liked Alaric from the Hurricane Wars. Like, it's the same, like, tortured soul.
Yeah. Very good comparison. Very good comparison.
I do like those, which you can look forward to again in next week's review of Powerless.
Oh, I'm excited. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, I will not say anything.
Did you finish it? Yeah, you said you finished it.
Yeah, I finished it.
Okay. We'll start tonight.
I've already started the second book.
Wait, you already started the second book of Powerless?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. I'm excited. That's interesting. You haven't done that yet for any of the books this season.
Well, because I don't have to listen to any more books this season. I only have to physically read one more book.
Yeah, definitely. I would highly recommend this if you've listened to this point and you haven't read this book. I hope, even with all the spoilers, you go and read it because Hafsah is extremely talented. And I look forward to reading this book, rereading this book, the next one, and whatever she has to come.
Agreed.
At this point in the recording, we are 2-1. Kings 1, Oilers 2, 14 minutes into the second period.
Good luck.
I hope future me is okay while I edit this. Hey, future me. I love you. Remember that. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. We encourage you to rate and subscribe to our show on your preferred listening platform. Stay tuned for a special episode this Thursday where we interview friend of the podcast, Pen Cole, author of Spark of the Everflame and the Kindred Cursed Saga.
We would love to hear your thoughts based on today's conversation. If you would like to submit your take on any of the books we plan to discuss later this spring, please be sure to follow us on Instagram where we ask for listener submissions.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please visit our website, booktalkforbooktalk.com, to view our latest merch and learn about supporting the show through Patreon or Venmo. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube at the handle Book Talk for Book Talk. Bye.
Bye.